morning, team, and thank you for joining the session today. Uh, and from today onwards, we are going to start the official training for this batch in terms of Oracle Fusion Financials. So, first of all, what we are going to do here is we are going to explore some of the initial prerequisite topics that are required in order to start our configuration for financials. Okay. So the module that we are going to start up with is your general ledger module. And in order to start the general ledger module, there are some prerequisite setups or configurations that we need to do in the application. So it is going to be like we are going to begin right from the scratch where let's say we have a totally new application in our hand, and then how we are going to start working on that application, considering we are going to configure a finance solution, or we are going to configure the finance modules based upon the business requirement. Correct. So we'll start from here with a very basic. So in the last session, what we did is we have seen that how to access an application and using the URL and credentials. Okay, and that is going to be the same case in every business implementation that we are going to do, where you'll be having some credentials available. So that can be the admin credentials. All right. On the basis of admin credentials, you'll initially be logging in or signing in into the application. Then what will be done is you'll be creating your own user account. Correct. Or the other case is sometimes this may also happen where the business is aware how to create the user accounts and all. So they'll be doing it on your behalf. That is okay. Very rarely you'll see that. Otherwise, generally, the finance team is given an access. Based on that, they create their user account. Maybe the case that the team lead is going to create for all the users, or individual users will be creating it for themselves. That may be a possibility, right? So this approach may differ from project to project. That is fine. But what we should be able to understand that how and from where the user accounts can be created. Okay. Now, before moving to the user account, let me also explain you one of the concept here is, which is the application instance and all. Okay, just give me a moment. There are still students in the waiting room. Okay, just one quick request to all the team members here, team, that please mention your correct names that you have used while doing the enrollments in the Zoom when you're joining the Zoom links, right? Do not join with the random names because going forward will not be able to admit anyone who's entering with the random names, right? So please make sure your profile name matches with the name that you have used while doing the enrollments. Okay. Now, so where we are here when we are accessing the application. So the first thing is how to create the user account. And before that, we are talking about these things, which is the URLs and all. Right. Now, generally what happens is, so let me give you some details here. So we'll focus here on this page. Okay. So yeah, in in the last session, we have discussed a terminology where we have understood like what kind of companies that are involved in the execution of Oracle Fusion Financial implementation. Right. Then and there, I have used these terms that there is a vendor company, there is an implementation company or a consulting company, there is an end user company or the business. Okay. So first is who has developed the product. It is the vendor company or the development company who has developed the product. In our case, it is going to be always one, which is Oracle Corporation. Oracle Corporation own the product, which is Oracle Fusion, right? And Fusion Financials is a part of Fusion. Okay. Now, in this case, once the Oracle uh, has developed this product, that product, let's say we are talking about Fusion Financials, right? So the product is divided into multiple modules: JL, General Ledger, Accounts Payable, Account Receivable, Fixed Asset Cash Management, and so on. Now, what happens is, let's say there is an end user company or a business who's actively looking for using or for replacing its existing ERP application. Or let's say generally, if it's a new business, let's say they are also looking for an ERP application. And what is the reason of looking into the ERP application? So that they can manage their business processes, business activity end to end within an application. So normally what happens is that whenever the business is looking for the ERP as an option, right? So what they generally do, they do an active search in the market, like what all ERP products are available, right? So maybe the case they'll be looking into Microsoft, they'll be looking into the SAP, they'll be looking into Oracle, multiple other players are there. So they'll be individually looking into the products that are offered. What is the product. Maybe the case having some demos on the products and all to understand that how the product works, right? So it is not generally the kind of like detailed demos at all. It's a summary demo where kind of like key features are presented that this is what our product is capable of doing, right? These are the features that our product offers, right? So there are multiple demos that can be arranged by various vendor companies, right? Vendor companies, those companies who own the products. And then on the basis of that, the end user company needs to decide that which is the ERP platform they want to go with. Right. So let's say, for example, Reliance Industries is one of the businesses who are actively looking for a ERP application. Now, what they have done based on the various demos and all, based on the information they have, based on the market research they have done. Now, let's say they have selected Oracle Fusion as their preferred ERP application. Now, what is going to happen is can the end user company, let's say in our case, the business clients industry, can implement the product by themselves. Implement means whatever the application that they have received, right? Credentials they have subscribed, credentials they have received, and the application subscription that they have done. So can they configure it based on their business requirements and all? Answer is yes, it can be done, but generally what happens is this is not the actual activity which is done by the business, or the business does not really have an expertise in this. They are more expert in their carrying out their business related activities, but software implementation may not be their part of the business, right? In that case, generally what happens is always the business looks into one of the or uh, available consulting company or implementation partners who do have industry-wide experience, right? And industry-wide solutions, how the application should be implemented or configured for a specific industry, for a specific nature of line of business and all, right? And that's where this implementation companies comes into picture, right? So let's say PwC. Okay, so we'll take some examples here. So we have PwC, we have EY, we have Capgemini, right? Uh, so multiple other companies will be there. So in the market, a lot of companies are there who are in partnered with Oracle, who implements Oracle Fusion. Okay, now let's say PwC do have more expertise in insurance sector. Okay, they are experts in insurance sector. EY, let's say they are expert in financial sector. Capgemini is more, they have their expertise in manufacturing. Okay, just an example I'm taking here, right? So this may not be go this way, like PwC is only restricted to insurance, right? Maybe the case PwC also experts in financial. This one is also experts in financial, right? EY is in financial or service sector, right? So and how they become experts by implementing various projects across the industry, right? So maybe they have implemented so many projects in this particular sector. Now they are the sector wise, they are the expert, they have knowledge, they have the experience to handle big implementation projects and all, right? So that may be the case. Now, what generally is done, these consulting companies So when the end user companies want to get the product implement, they generally reach out to the various partners who are available in that region, that who can actually implement the product for them, or who can understand the business requirement and implement as per the business requirement. Correct. So that then and there, be it implementation companies or implementation partners or consulting partners companies, they reach out to the particular business, right? They present their solution, like what we are capable of doing, what we have done in the past, what is going to be the costing factor and all. Because implementation is not going to be a small thing, it is going to be a big thing in terms of the overall cost, right? Considering how big is the implementation, how big is the company and all. So considering that, it may be a big investment that the business will be making, right? So all those factors are taken into consideration, and finally a preferred partner is selected. Let's say Capgemini example. Let's say after all the presentations and all, or after all the understanding cost part, also considering the cost part, the preferred partner was Capgemini, who's responsible for implementing the or for configuring the overall product for the end user company. Right. So we don't just call it configuration or not, we call it as overall implementation. That includes your configuration, that includes your solution designing, that includes your all relevant support and related activities. Correct. So that is how it works, where the multiple chain of companies or multiple chain of corporations, they come together in the overall cycle of the implementation, right? So this is how it is going to work. Now what happens here is uh, uh, when the product is being implemented, right? So the where exactly it is going to be implemented, it is going to be implemented as a part of the application. How we are going to access the application? We are going to access the application using this link. Now the question here is it going to be only one link that is being issued by Oracle when the subscription is taken by the end user company? Because end user company is going to pay to the development company, which is Oracle, and they'll be subscribing an application. So is it going to be only one URL that they'll be subscribing, or it is going to be always multiple URLs? Answer is it is always going to be multiple URLs. We call it as multiple application, multiple servers, or you can call it as multiple instances, right? Application instances. Okay. So it is always going to be multiple, right? Now, when we say multiple, what does it mean? Multiple means it can be multiple copies of the application that may be available. So generally it is divided like this. We have test application, we have development uh, application, we have production application. Okay. So okay. So generally what happens is development applications are those applications which is the access of which is provided to the implementation company, where they do all the configuration related to the uh, business, right? So all the business related configuration, all the solution designing and everything will be done initially in the development instance. So this is generally where it will be given access, the access will be given to the implementation company. Okay. Test instance is something where the same configurations which is done in the development instance, once it is finalized, it is approved, or the overall design is approved of the solution, then that is moved in the test instance, where the business themselves can use the test instance to test what is being provided, or what is being configured, or what is being designed. Correct. So it's another set of application. Then finally, you have the production application, which is the actual real time application, correct? So which is used for managing day-to-day business processes and activities. Okay, right. So the one application which is going to be the final set of application, that is something which we call it as always a production application, that is going to be available as an end a result of the overall implementation program, and that particular instance or server is going to be used for doing the day-to-day transaction, day-to-day activities of the business, right? Real-time business related transactions or activities. Okay. Whereas this development and test are more on the development side. Initial development is done here. The testing of the various solutions, various uh, configurations that are or various business related processes are done here in the development or test instance. Right now, this is always going to be the same case where the final application is always going to be the production application. This is the final version. However, you may see here that sometimes test instance is used by the business for doing the testing, or other way around also test instance may be given access to the implementation company for doing the initial configuration, and maybe the case the development instance will be used by the business. So vice versa, there can be change here, which means test can be used by the business or development can be used by the business. Whatever the remaining is, that is something which will be sent to the or which will be provided to the implementation team for doing their development. Okay, now here is if we look into this, generally we have three type of applications here: test, development, and production. So is it going to be three URL always? Not the given case. If the size of the business is small, it's a small size business who is going for the ERP and that they doesn't have really have that big requirement. They may end up with two instances or two applications. So minimum two is always going to be there. So minimum two means one test, one production, one development, one production. That can be the case, minimum two. But in general, it is always going to be three, in where one test, one development, production. However, depending upon the size of the business, it may also be more than three, right? So sometimes what happens, you'll also see a concept like you have multiple development instance or multiple test instance. That is also possible, right? So it can be like test one, test two, day one, day two. This can also be the given case, right? So that is also something which is possible. So only doesn't don't really hold up with there will be only be two or three at a given point of time. There can be more than three also. So in one of the projects that we did, it was a UK based project, UK based manufacturing company that had its presence in 18 countries, right? So for them, it was one production application that was used for all the 18 companies for managing the business of all 18 countries. And that is something which is doable, right? In one single application, you can handle operation of hundreds of companies. That is possible. In terms of development, they had around 18 development application, one for each country. Correct. So that is how their requirement was, and based on this requirement only, they have taken that subscription from Oracle. Right. So generally, this how many instances you'll be requiring. Generally, it is decided between the vendor company as well as the end user company. Generally, the implementation or consulting company doesn't really play an active role here. This thing is very well taken by the vendor company and between vendor company and business directly. Okay, so this may range from one two to multiple instances depending upon how big is the business, how they what kind of requirements they have in terms of having additional application instance access. Okay, so that is how it is going to work. And sometimes we can directly look into the URL and we can find what kind of instance is this, right? So here, if we see the link contains something like test, here link contains something like DEV, dev development instance, dev 2, dev 3, production from contains prod, right? Now, these terminology will be similar like test, day one, day two, day three, prod. This may be similar for each and every application. However, this initial link will be changed, right? So here it is EKMK, right? It's just for reference. I have given here EKMK, but this is going to change from each and every business. Means each and every business will be having a unique link for them, right? So the only thing which is going to be there is uh, let's say in a given business, Reliance is having this link issued, which is EKMK, which starts with EKMK, right? HTTPS is the standard protocol. Okay. So EKMK, the initial phase, which is being allotted to Reliance, then all their instances will be having the same link, which is EKMK. The only difference will be based upon is it a test instance or dev instance, dev 2, dev 3 prod. The corresponding terminology is going to be changed. Otherwise, the whole links are generally same. Each and every business are unique uh, instances allotted. Okay, so that is how it is going to work. Now, let's move back to the system of, to the application. So here So for example, this one is the test instance task demo, right? It's a demo application which is issued by the Oracle, right? Now here, what we need to understand something which is important in terms of our training. So in terms of our training, we have two different types of application that the access of which will be provided to you guys. So one is going to be the stable instance, right? And other one is the all right, so there are two types of applications. One is the demo instance, one is the stable instance. Stable instance is a private instance that is available with the TrioTech, right? What happens here? This is generally available at the TrioTech level. It's a private instance, and however, there is another instance which is called public instance or demo instance. Demo instance is something which is provided from the Oracle side, and it is provided for the trading purpose only. Even uh, we have trainings available from Oracle universities. Oracle University conducts various trainings related to the whole product, right? Financials, other modules, technical trainings, functional trainings, and all, right? So various training programs are carried on by Oracle University. So for the students who are doing the practice, what they do, they issue something called demo instance, right? So this demo instance are actual instances which are available, but with some sample data, demo data. Correct. So again, it is at par with the stable instance. All the configuration, everything you can do in the demo instance also. But the only thing here is demo instance are temporary instance. Means uh, after a particular time period, generally a week, right? It is refresh. Refresh means from the Oracle side, the link is discontinued and the new links are issued for the demo instance, right? What is the reason for that? Why Oracle is making it as a temporary instance, and why it is doing time to time refresh of the, or why it is scrapping those instances? Because of the reason so that anyone cannot use for doing the day-to-day business activities, right? Oracle make sure it is just used for the training purpose only, right? So that's why it is something which is going to be refreshed on a timely basis. So even whatever demo instance credentials that will be shared, maybe the case after a few days it will be expired. So in that case, a new demo instance will be shared to you guys, right? So that is something we'll make sure. Stable instance is something where it will not change in terms of credentials and all. It will remain as it is, and the access will also remain with us, right? Now, question here, whether we are going to do the trading in stable or demo. So you can do your practice in any of this instance as per your convenience, right? If you want to keep a track of your configurations and all, you can go with the stable instance. That is okay. And if you want to just use the Firebase functionalities and configuration, then demo instance is also fine. Normally, I prefer demo instance over a stable instance because of the reason demo instance are more recently like upgraded. So whenever new links are issued, those are the latest upgraded versions that we have. But there is no like advantage or disadvantage as such in going from one instance to another. Only thing here is demo are more upgraded, doesn't really have any identified bugs because as it is being upgraded on a weekly basis, so you don't have any bugs as such, right? Even if there are some bugs which are identified, the next version it will be resolved by Oracle. Stable instance may have some bugs because it is being used by various training users. Then and there, some bugs may be identified, but it's not going to be the case like it is full of bugs. But only in certain specified areas there can be the bugs that we can face. But what kind of bugs and all, that is something we'll understand going forward. So as in we are doing the configurations. Okay. So these two applications you can expect to be a part of your training program, which you can use for your day-to-day practice purpose, right? So what we covered as of now, we understood the concept of this URL, right? What are different URLs, then what kind of instances access we'll be having. Now let's focus upon something which is how to create a user account here. So I have an account. Let's say this is HCM.lab is my admin user account. Let's say, and initially there'll be an admin user account for each and every application, right? So just let me start right from the scratch from the signing screen. So I'll just move out of this form, enter the credentials, right? So I have my credentials, I have saved it as a part of the browser settings, right? So whenever you enter any credentials, browser will give you the option to save the credentials, right? If it is saved, you'll be able to see details like this, right? So am I supposed to save? No, it's not a mandatory thing. If you want your credentials should be saved in your browser, that is something you can do. All right. So now enter the URL, enter the user credentials, ID and password, and click on sign in, and you'll be able to reach out on a page like this. This is the dashboard, right, where you'll be able to see various icons, right, that is accessible. But I've also mentioned that these icons doesn't come as it is in each and every user account. This is based out of roles. Once the roles are assigned, this is how you'll be able to find the icons here. Now, what you have, this is called the dashboard view, where you can scroll from left to right to left for accessing various tasks. And on the left hand top corner, there is something three lines we have. We call it as navigator, and this is the uh, logo, right? So official logo from the demo instance is going to be like this because the name of the instance is Vision instance, right? You'll see Vision kind of logo here, but this is always going to be replaced in the actual business, right? The standard logo will not be there. They'll be replacing it with their actual logo. The business related logo will be replaced with this, right? So let's say if it is Glance, then Glance logo will be there. If it is any other business, their logo will be done here. That is something we don't do. That's a part of your HRMS configuration, the look and feels, the overall themes and all. Correct. Now, what is important for us? So this is the horizontal pattern of accessing various tasks and all, right? And this is the vertical uh, pattern, right? So in the navigator, if you go, the same things which are available on the dashboard are available here in a vertical format, correct? So if you see, we have tools here, right? So if I look more on the right hand side, so this is tools, right? When you click on tools, you have various options like this, including the security console. Similarly, if I go from this side, you have tools, all the icons which are available here which are available all on the dashboard, right? Same icons are available here also under tools, right? So one and the same thing, different option to navigate, right? So how we are going to navigate totally depends upon how what is so if you are comfortable in the first part or vertical format, or if you are comfortable in the horizontal format, depending on that, right? So there are multiple areas you'll see multiple same thing to access same thing, multiple navigations are given. So that is just to make for the ease of the user to use the functionalities. Okay. Now, in order to create a user account, what I need to have security console access. So it is also a role-based access. Generally, the admin users do have this access by default. Right now, let's say as an admin user, I have an access. So now, if I want to create my own user account, I need to click on security console. This is going to take me to the security console page. Here we have various options available. So here by default, we are at the first icon, which is roles, and second is user. So we need to move to the users here, and then and there we have an option called add user account. Correct. So, and this is the place where I can search the user account once it is added. Now let's consider as of now, no user account exists. So what I'll do, I'll add a user account from here. Right. Now, there are different user account types that we have, but let's not discuss it for now. Let's only understand that how you are going to create a user account for the very first time and from which navigation it will be created. Going forward, we'll understand wherever it is applicable, what are different types of user account that we have. Right. So here there is an option called add user account. We'll use that. Just click on this. A basic form is going to appear in front of you, right? So these details we need to fill. Now, if you see here, so if you see here, there are few details, first name, last name, email, phone, username, password, confirm password, right? That's the only 5, 6 fields that we have that you need to fill in order to create a user account. Now, if you compare this field, you see some of the field has this star mark. So star mark means Required. This information is required. You can skip the first name, but you cannot skip the last name. You can skip the email, you cannot skip the username, password, confirm password, right? That is something you need to always provide. Now let me provide some basic details here. Let's say I want to create one in the name of Abhishek Kumar, right? Okay. So by default, what system does, it combines first name dot last name as the username. If you are okay with this, you can have the same naming convention here. If you're not okay, you want to change it, you can overwrite this, right? You can just delete this and overwrite to something with something else. It is good, it is absolutely fine. Just make sure that you remember the username going forward in order to sign in into the application, right? Now, let me enter the password. So let's say this is my password. All right. So once you enter these details, I need to add roles, right? Add roles means if I don't add the roles here, I'll not be having the access of various functionalities and all. Correct. Who this particular user account, correct, will not be having the access. But as of now, will not be adding the rule, we'll just save this and then let's sign in with this user account. Let's see by default what is the information which is available in the app in the user account if we don't have any role assigned. Okay, so let me just save and close here. We'll just copy the link. Passwords are not matching, so let me enter the password again and now save and close. All right, so Abhishek.Kumar is the name of the user, so that is fine. Once it is saved, your user account creation process will be done here. All right, just remember we have not assigned any roles as of now, which means that system will not be having or giving the access to the relevant functionalities to this user account, right? That is something which is managed by roles, right? So we'll just wait for this to be saved first. So once we save it, system will close this screen, right? So that is done now. Now we are again back in the users, right? So if I want to search my user account here, what I can do, I can type the name, right? Let's say Abhishek, and it is going to give the match case with this name, username, right? So you have Abhishek Sharma, Abhishek Kumar. I have created one with the name of Abhishek Kumar, right? So this is my user account. If I type the whole name, uh, uh, like this. Okay, this is not my username, which is not Abhishek. One, it is Abhishek dot. Okay, so now you have it here. So what you can do here is your username is this. If you want to access the user account, so what you need to do is you need to click on this link. Link is this is hyperlink. The one which are highlighted in blue are hyperlink. You can click on anywhere, any of this hyperlink, and it is going to take you back to the user account details. So now what we understand how to create a user account, how to search for the user account from this security console page. Now let me give you some detail here. Let's say now Abhishek Kumar is created. We'll move back. We'll open another tab here. So you cannot just simply add another tab here. If I add a same tab or duplicate tab here with the same link, it is going to sign in directly in the same user account. Right? You cannot have multiple user accounts in the same browser, right? What I can do, I can go in incognito mode here, or I can open a private window here, and this is accessible. I can open another account. I can sign in another account using a private window here, or I can use different browsers. Let's say this time I'm using Chrome or Firefox. Next time I can open Chrome and I can sign in to another user account. Correct. Normally, you'll not be required to operate with multiple user account at a given point of time. But sometimes if you want to you have this kind of activities going on, then you can use totally a different window to access a new user account. Right. So here in a private window, I'm opening the link. It is going to take me to the sign in page again. Enter the details. So, Abhishek.Kumar. enter the password, and click on enter, sign in. Right? Do I want to update the password? Okay, that's fine. So next time when I enter the username, automatically the password will be populated by the app browser. All right, so now click on sign in. This is going to help you in signing into the application. So why now we are with another user, Abhishek.Kumar. In terms of application, we have signed in, right? So once sign in is done, this is going to take us on the sign in page or login page, or we call it as dashboard. So yeah, here blank is there. So I'll just click on home, right? So what are these? These are the as the instance is being used by other users also. So their report related things are available here, right? May not be useful for us, right? So I'll move back to the page, and now you see what options you have. You have only few options. You have tools where you have few options available. You have others where you have few options available. Nothing else in terms of Abhishek Kumar, because the relevant roles have been not been assigned yet. Okay. If I look into this detail, right, you don't have setup and maintenance anything. You don't have only set preferences there about this application is there. So very restricted access there where you have only some basic options from the application side available to you because your user account has been created, but you really don't have the access of any roles. Now, let's say Abhishek Kumar is the one who's responsible for doing the configuration. So in order to start the configuration, he need to have the access of setup and maintenance. Correct. And in order to give the access of setup and maintenance like this, so let me move back here. So you see setup and maintenance is here. What the particular user account requires is role. So let me give you the role here. The role name is application implementation consultant. So what you need to do here is click on add role, right? And the role, search for a role application implementation. So you have various roles available from here with the matching name. So you have application implementation consultant. Here you have application implementation consultant. Now you see there is another name, application implementation consultant. Same name is there. There is another one, application implementation consultant copy and all, right? Which one to choose? Normally, when you're having a new application, right? When you search for the role called application implementation consultant, you'll be able to find only one value, which is application implementation consultant with this code, right? No need to remember the code, but what you need to understand, any uh, role which is having the code is starting from ORA. ORA means Oracle, right? So that means it's a part of the standard roles or seeded roles. Seeded roles means predefined roles in the application. Any role which is not starting from ORA means those roles are something which users have created. So user has created means can we create custom roles? Yes, we can create custom roles with custom privileges, right? Privileges mean privileges to access various screens or various functionalities, correct? So it is possible to create custom roles also. So, and what we can do, we can create a copy of the seeded role also. That is also possible. So if I want to distinguish between any time that which is the seeded one, which is the one which is created by user as a custom role. So you can see the always Oracle one are going to start from ORA. These are seeded roles predefined into every application. Okay, so I'll be using here the seated one. So what I'm doing here is I am assigning this role application implementation consultant. So let's just select the role here and click on add role membership. Okay, so this is going to add role to my user account. This is one. Second thing is the user doesn't have the access of security console. Security console means from where we can create the user, from where we can assign the roles. Correct. So if I also want to have an access of security console, any specific role for that? Yes, there is a specific role called IT security manager. Okay, so which one to choose? The one which starts with ORA, right? You'll not face this kind of multiple roles in the same names in the actual instances, because seededly it is only one. But here is the training instance. So many of the students, what they might have done, they have created the copies of the role for their own utility. So that is fine. Okay, so we are going to use the seeded roles here. Just select the role, click add role membership. That's it. You are done. Click on done. So if you see here, previously it was zero role, which is here, no, nothing was there, it was blank. Now it is the particular user account. Which user account? Abhishek.Kumar has two roles, which is application implementation consultant for accessing the setup and maintenance, then IT security manager for accessing the security console work area. So application implementation consultant, we understand it is required for doing the setup and maintenance. Why security manager is required, or what is the reason for that? Generally, as a part, when you are working as a consultant, finance consultant, what is going to have? You are going to have your own user account, and now you should be having the access of IT security manager, because maybe the case on the very first day you're not aware what all roles are required, and going forward you need to assign multiple roles to your user account. Correct. If that is the case, then again, if you don't have the direct access of security console, then you'll be having a dependency on different admin user and all to assign roles to your user account and all. Correct. That is how it is going to work. But to just remove that dependency, what you can have, you can directly have IT security manager role. By that way, you'll be having the access of security console. You can go manage your roles on your own, means assignment of role, resetting the password, creation of user account, right? Or managing accounts of other users. So that is something which is possible if you have the IT security manager role with you. Correct. So now this is done. I have assigned the role to my user account, Abhishek.Kumar, right? Save and close. My existing account, HCM user already has this access, and that is why I'm able to perform all these steps, right? So it is done. Role has been assigned to the user account. Now, if I go back, right? So let me just go to the home screen first. So this is which account is this? HCM.lab, correct? So it's on the normal browser screen, and HCM.lab. I'll move back to the private window where it is Abhishek Kumar. Correct. So now the icon should be visible here. Yes, it should be visible, but we need to do a quick sign out and sign in so that system can refresh all the rules, right? So generally it takes a few seconds only, the rules gets refreshed, but maybe the case in some of the demo instances or lower instances, you may also see that sometimes it is taking a minute kind of thing, right? So maximum minute like it may take, otherwise a few seconds it will be refreshed. So what you need to do, just you need to do a quick sign out and sign in so that the roles, corresponding roles can be refreshed and reflected on the screen. Okay. So now let me go back, sign into my account here. So enter the credentials, right? So let's go back and let's see if the roles are refreshed and now it is available in my user account, which is Abhishek.Kumar or not. So that is something we'll see here. All right. So now we see the icons have changed here, means you have now multiple icons which are available here. Now all these icons are related to setup and maintenance. Answer is no. When we assign the roles, application implementation consultant or IT security manager, right? So it doesn't comes only with one privilege, which is like you'll be getting access to setup and maintenance, or you'll be getting access to security console. Along with that, multiple privileges are also attached, which may or may not be useful for us. Correct. But it's a seated role contains those privileges. So based on that only, tomorrow if the business decide no, we don't want the role once assigned will have access to multiple privileges. We want to restrict it only to one or two privileges, then in that case, custom roles can also be created, right? That is possible. Now, later on, we'll be talking about custom roles and all, not applicable for now. But as of now, what we need to make sure that we have the relevant access. So under tools, security console access should be there. So you have it here, it is available. And then let's go to the setting as an action. Let's see if the setup and maintenance is available or not. Answer is no. It means it is not refresh here. Second row, first row is refreshed. We'll just do a sign out and sign in so that we can get the complete access. Okay. Okay, still not there. Okay, we'll wait for some time. Meanwhile, let me use the other account. I already have the Excel. So what exactly, once we get the excess of setup and maintenance, what exactly we are going to do? We are going to access setup and maintenance, and we are going to focus here on the financials part in order to do the initial configuration, right? All right. Now, so here, yesterday when we were looking into the screen was a bit different, right? Now the screen is a bit different, right? So, what is the reason of this one, right? So from one upgrade to another, there can be instance where the look and feel of the screen may be different. The overall concept is going to remain the same. Only the look and feel is going to be changed, right? Not always, but sometimes this may change, right? So if I want to go back to my previous view, right, the one which we were looking into yesterday, right? So just click on these three dots, uh, click on the last option, additional setup task. So this is going to set up the previous view for you, right? How it used to look like. Okay. So here you can see financials. So if I go into financials, I have all financial related tasks available here. But by any chance, if I don't see financials here, correct? So if it is not available, what I need to do, I need to go to this task actions, go to offerings. So offerings means it is the page where we'll see what different work areas, what is the different business processes or subject areas the particular ERP application has available for offerings. Means within the one application you'll see various business related processes are there, financial related, procurement related, human capital related. We call it as tracks, business tracks, right? So those areas are available. Not only these three, but all these are available as a part of the ERP application, right? So financial is one such part. Now, what happens is you can enable these offerings from here. Whatever functionalities, whatever tracks you want to use here in the application, that is something you can enable from here, right? Now, normally what happens is I'm a part of financial team. My responsibility is only enable financials from here, right? And the respective team will be responsible for enabling the offerings from their side, right? So let's say I'm in financials, right? Let me go here, opt-in features and showcase to you how it looks like. So opt-in features means this is the placeholder where all the financial modules will be listed. So you can enable those modules from here. For example, if you have general ledger, if you have payables, if you have receivables which are to be configured, then you can enable those features from here under opt-in features. Correct. That's a one-time activity that you need to do. All right. Generally, it is taken care by the admin team. Or if you know, as a consultant, you are not able to find the financials on the setup and maintenance page, then you can enable it from here. Correct. Now, what is the related token first? So what is the best practice? So you have all the financial related modules which are going to be available here. Only enable those modules which are in the scope of implementation or which is for which the subscription has been taken by the business, right? So for example, here you see you have general ledger, you have supplier invoice processing, it is part of accounts payable, expense module, which is again a finance module. You have fixed asset, customer invoice processing, which means AR, accounts receivable. Then you have collections module here, revenue management, intercompany, budgetary control, right? So, or US Fed application extensions, US federal financial joint venture management, lease accounting, all these modules are available here. Now, what you need to do is only enable the modules which are applicable in the scope of the project. Because of the reason, what happens is Oracle has subscription-based services, means whatever modules that you are using, based on that, the subscription fees is finalized. Correct. So initially, let's say the business has mentioned that we need only five modules. We need accounts payable, receivable, cash management, fixed asset, and general ledger. Let's say these four modules we need. Then what Oracle will be doing, the subscription fee will be decided accordingly. If you enable by any chance these modules here, this will be available for configuration. Just enabling the modules, it doesn't mean that Oracle will be charging on that purpose, for that side. But if you enable, that means it will be available for configuration. If you have done the configuration and started using the modules in terms of various transaction and functionality, then Oracle will consider that you are using that particular module. They'll be charging on that basis. Correct. So one of the thing as a part of implementation team, what we make sure is we only enable the one which is applicable, right? And how we can identify what is applicable, what is not applicable. So each and every project implementation that you are going to do, the first thing that you should be asking for is the project scope document, which means which all modules which are applicable, which I need to configure from the financial side. So this is a formal document which is signed between the implementation company and the end user business. So in our case, let's say Capgemini is implementing for Reliance. So Capgemini will prepare something called scope, project scope document, in which clearly then everything will be mentioned, which modules we are going to configure, how many legal entities, how many companies this configurations are applicable, how many bank accounts, everything will be mentioned there in detail so that you understand that what is my scope of activity. Because if you don't do that, the application is very vast, it's a very big application, right? If you don't identify the scope of your work, then you'll not end up with uh, you'll not end up able to identify your scope of activities. Means whatever is provided by the business, you'll be doing that, right? So that is not something how it works because the costing and everything will be based on the scope of the work. More scope of work, more costing, right? Less scope of work, less costing, right? So generally we define each and every uh, business process is the same thing, right? Across the industry. Whenever you're working, whether you're working as a professional, you're working as in the service sector, management sector, anywhere, the scope of work should be clearly identified. That what exactly we are supposed to do in terms of configuration. So each and every track or each and every uh, business process like financials, supply chain, human capital, the scope is very well defined. And then based on those only, we identify what all modules are applicable and we enable it from here, right? There's no need to enable everything from here, only the one which is applicable, right? So if it says only general ledger is applicable, GL, only core modules enable here, and remaining should not be enabled from here. Because if you enable available for configuration, if you configure available for test for usage, if you lose, then subject to the subscription charge that is going to be there. All right. So just a high level highlight that how we enable the offerings and all. So what happens is once we enable the offerings, then you'll be able to find the financials part here, right? So this is the first set of activity that you are going to do. In case under setup you don't find financials listed, then you go to the offering first. You can change the view from here. Go to additional setups. The view will be changed from the uh, existing one to the previous one. And then from there, you can enable the scope and enable the offerings for financials, the modules and all. Then you'll be able to see financials here. Now, let me go back to the previous page here. All right. So this is how it should be looking like. You have financials and only the relevant modules which are applicable should be visible here. Right. So that is fine. Now, team, going forward, now we understand how the user account created, how to have the access of setup and maintenance, and how to have the access of security console, right? By assigning the roles, that is something we have done. Now we'll begin with the next part where we will be so offerings are enabled, that is done. So we'll be discussing the next part, which is the enterprise structure discussion, right? So this enterprise structure discussion means initially when we are going to configure any application, the first thing that we will be doing is to create the enterprise structure, right? So for the next 2 3 days, our focus will be to understand the enterprise structure. What are the different components of the enterprise structure? How it is applicable for the given business scenario, how we are going to define it in the application, right? So initial discussion will be done, then relevant configuration will be done in the application, right? So that is the next plan of action that we are going to take, or the next set of activities that we are going to take in the upcoming sessions. All right. Alrighty, I'll take a pause here. In case you have any queries, any questions, you can feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself and we can put your questions so that we can have a quick discussion on that.
Yeah, Abhishek, this is Mera Abhishek. Basically, when you get the URL from the Oracle,
Mhm.
so what is the admin no, user ID password you will be getting it.
So generally what happens is Oracle, so initially what happens is when the application is finalized, that now the subscription of the application will be taken by the end user
Yes.
company with Oracle. So there may be a case where the consulting company is still not finalized, right? So what happens is the admin user is identified by Oracle. Admin user means that person or that employee who is going to act as an admin to connect with Oracle for any kind of correspondence, right? So that is done through name, contact numbers, email ID, and all. So that is registered as an admin. What Oracle does, Oracle sends all the ID of the admin along with the user account, credential, ID, and password. Correct.
So,
Only that one account.
Abhishek, so we need to provide the credentials to them, then they will be creating the admins. That's
No,
correct?
it is not we need to provide. It is Oracle who is going to provide admin user the initial credentials, right? And then using that credentials, multiple user
Okay.
accounts can be created. Correct. Now, maybe the case. Let me give you one good example here. So let's say I'm a part of the implementation company, right? So I'm handling financials. So I'm a financial consultant, right? So it is not going to
Yes.
be the case always that only one consultant is handling the whole financial. It's a team of consultants, correct? So let's say I have a who is acting as the lead, who is representing the overall consulting company in terms of financials. And under the lead, we have multiple consultants who will be working with them. Correct. So maybe the case, they'll ask the admin team to create the account. Admin team will create one account for the finance lead and give them the access of security console. Then finance lead in turn will create the user account for his team members. That is how it is. So the only point here is what we need. We need access of the security console. Who is going to create the account? Is it going to admin account or is it going to be asked? So initial one account needs to be created from the admin user, and then once we have the access of security console, we can create multiple accounts from there, depending
Yes.
on how many user we want to create accounts from. Right?
Whereas for the demo environment, which
Hmm.
credentials you will be using it? For
Correct.
demo,
So here for the demo environment and both for stable and demo, normally what happens is when the admin team is going to share the credentials, so they'll be sharing the URL, they'll be sharing the credentials ID and passwords both, right? There is no specific need for you to create your own user account unless and until you want to do it for testing, that is fine. Otherwise, you can use the same account for your practice purpose because the relevant account already contains all the relevant roles which is required. Correct. So there is no need for you to always maintain a separate account for yourself. No, that is not required. Only thing is required is you should understand that process. That's it, and then you can
so,
use the
so,
same
uh, so,
credentials.
so here my question is, for the demo, we will be having one common logins, not individual logins.
Common
So,
login.
yes, those common logins are provided by the Oracle.
Admin.
Oracle.
No, no, no. It will be provided by the TrioTech.
Oh, okay. Thanks. And one more small doubt, please. Sorry.
Mhm.
Environments wise, you will be having it. One is demo, other one is development in instance. So
Mhm.
if we are implementing for 18 countries, 18 based on the client requirements, they will be having 18 instances. That's fine. And when it goes to the test after development, only testing and production, or like functional testing, UAT, and then production. Usually in
Okay,
future.
usually in how it works in the business side, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's say the example that I've given, I said like 18 development instances were there, right?
Yes.
But what was the
Yes.
reason? So that individual country, individual company can have their own instances, they can do their own testing and all,
Yes.
their own development. That is the reason. But when it comes to production instance, it is always going to be one single instance, right? So in the production side, you'll not be seeing 80 different instances. Production is always going to be one because one single instance is capable of maintaining activities related to hundreds of companies.
So between dev to production, is there any like one environment or two environments? Like only testing or like functional testing and
So
integration
the
testing
so
and
anything
yeah.
apart from production, we call it as lower instances, right? minimum one is required, where let's say one is test instance is available for us to do the development, one is available for the users to do the testing.
Yeah,
Minimum one is
that's
required. Sometimes business prefer that no, we want separate company wise, because we want that individually each company can have their own things, they can manage their own activities without dependent on the other countries or other companies at data, right? So
so
dedicated
it varies based on the client to client.
varies based on the client, because based on that only if you have more than one instance, two instance, three instance, then accordingly Oracle will be charging for that also. It is not the
Oh,
case that any number you can have. Right. So the costing is also an important factor. But generally it is decided from the business perspective that business says, okay, this money we need, we have this kind of requirements, this is the dependency and all. So based on that. So I've just given an example that this may also be there where you can find more than two or three instances. Then in that case, this may be the requirement from the business side only. And based on that, Oracle issues the instances. Okay.
okay, thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so based, sorry, I think
Yeah, yeah,
someone else.
please go ahead.
Oh, so basically, when like in a company, so we being the product, and then we have the other business people also in the team whom we call the stakeholders or the business users. Now, when they require any UAT instance, when they raise an instance that they are not able to test it, so that user instance is also the same way that the security team will create? Will it be the same place that you have shown us, like in the roles, instead of a application implementation consultant, is there a separate role that is added for a UAT? Or, I mean, how does this work? Because
Right.
it's a little confusing, like we have different instances. Are there any restrictions in the UAT which the development or a Dev 5 that we call, where these consultants are implementing? So, I mean, could you, or in a later stages, will you be explaining what or
Correct.
how the
So
limitations exist?
correct. So as of now, what we understood or what we have discussed is that there can be multiple instances. Those instances can be used for various stages or for various purposes. Okay. We have
Hmm.
not yet discussed the project stages, the overall implementation stages, right? Or the overall implementation is divided into multiple stages. That includes UAT, that includes KUT, and also, right? That is still we have
Correct.
not discussed. Now, once
Okay.
we have the discussion of that part, then we'll understand what is the practice which is followed. So it is not the stage-wise instances that is there. We can use the same instances for multiple stages, right?
Okay.
The thing
Okay.
that we need to understand, what is the difference between these stages? What does UAT means? What exactly we are going to achieve out of UAT, or what exactly we are going to achieve out of KUT or CRP and all? That is
Oh,
something we need to understand, right? So
okay.
do
Okay.
not link instance with these stages. Stages are different concept.
Oh,
Instance are just for the benefit of the business so that they have spare applications where they can do their own testings. Right?
testing. Okay. Okay. So they'll just mock it everything into the
Correct,
test
correct,
as a
correct,
prod, whatever is in prod, but it's in the test. So
correct,
pre-prod.
correct. So now
Oh,
whether you want to replicate the same thing into three instances or more than three
hmm.
instances, that totally depends on the business, right?
Sure. And also probably in the future sessions, would you be showing us, like, they usually say that we need to take a backup because there's an instance
Mhm,
refresh. So
mhm, mhm.
that also would be covered, right? I mean, very briefly, if possible,
Correct. So
like
we'll
how.
be speaking about that concept, that what is backup and what is cloning and all, right? But what
Okay,
we need to
okay.
understand here is, as it's a cloud-based application, all these things are managed by Oracle itself,
Oracle itself,
right?
yeah.
So if you say I have a production instance, I want a copy or clone of production instance into a development instance or test instance. So that is where you raise a service request with Oracle. They schedule a time slot that based on this time slot, the cloning will be done.
Yes,
So
yes,
normally after not at the after the business hours, so it
yes.
takes like few hours and then that cloning gets completed, right? So that's a standard process that we have, right? We'll be having
Oh,
discussion on that.
excellent. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
sir.
Please go ahead.
Sir, your speech seems little fast, sir. Can you say a little slowly at last?
Uh, so in general, you're saying, or the specific thing that we have discussed?
I mean, in the class, I I have opinion that you are speaking little fastly, sir.
Okay, okay. So need to be slow a bit. Okay, no problem. Sure, I'll be
Okay, sir.
little
Thank you,
more.
sir.
Right.
Yeah, hi Abhishek. This is Ragam. I have
Hey,
one
Raj.
doubt about this subscription based. How is it providing Oracle? It is initially super access for the admin. How is it providing? How many users it will be using company? Like if I am a company, I was
Hmm.
taking for the subscription based. How many users can be taken for the test, development, production?
Right. So
This,
normally what happens is Oracle has a like kind of pricing mechanism they follow. Okay. So now what happens is, let's say I'm using an application where I have multiple application things. One is test, one is production, one is development. Okay. So then Oracle will be like, okay, if you're having these three application instances, this is something that we are going to charge per application. That is one thing. And then when we use the modules, right? So let's say general ledger we are using. So module wise multiplied by number of users. So if you are having 10, okay, let me do a quick working here, just to for an instance that how this pricing mechanism works. So let's say we have something called prod, we have dev, we have test. Okay, so they'll be like if you have three instances, right? So normally they'll be providing the three instances. They have a fixed cost of that. I don't know what is the cost, but they'll be providing, let's say, some fixed cost. Let's say uh 45, let's say 40,000 USD. Example, just maybe close, may not be close. I don't. Okay, but let's say this is the cost they have set, right? So this is on the instance side. Now they say like any additional instance that you are going to have, day two, three, and all. So for each instance, we'll be charging 5,000 additional USD. Okay, that may be their mechanism. Apart from that, what they do, they have something called subscription-based services. Now, let's say we are talking only as of financials for now. Same applicable for human capital, same applicable for procurement, CX, and everything. So let's say under financials, we have general ledger, we have AP, we have AR. Now they'll be asking to the business how many user accounts that you'll be maintaining under GL, how many users who are exactly going to use the GL. So business said 10 users for GL, 20 for AP, 30 for AR. So then they'll be giving a price mechanism. So like for each user account, we'll be charging something. Let's say 200 USD for this, 300 for this, 400 for this, right? And that's how the overall costing is identified, correct? Which means that based on the specific user licenses that we are going to get, based on that, the costing will be charged. Now, does it mean that if I already consume, if 10 users are already using GL, the 11th user will not be able to use GL? Answer is no, that is not how it works. You can have more users here. But then what happens is there is always a quarterly thing that like what is the mode of payment, maybe quarterly, halfly, whatever the agreed mode of payment. By that time, Oracle runs some logs, they identify how many users are actually using the instances, right? So how many users are using the modules and all. So they'll come up with these details, share with the admin. Look, these many users are there where you have already taken the subscription. Now you have additional users who are also using the modules, right? So that way they'll be charging extra for that, right? So they have fixed criteria mechanism for charging this. And they'll be sharing with the business that criteria. Now, based on the requirement, let's say tomorrow instead of 10, 11 users are there, so they'll be charging extra. Now what business need to make sure that whether it is mandatory that 11 users should be there, or by mistake we have given access to 11 users, so by that way they'll be deciding, right? So user management is also something which business will always be doing, considering how many, what is the scope of like that or subscription that we have, correct? Now one current practice that I'll give you here. Previously, was very much in practice where 11 user, 20 user, 30 users count was given by the business. Now, what Oracle generally does, they give a fixed price. They say that, okay, this is the price. Let's say here, they'll say that 5,000 will charge for GLs and 6,000 will charge and 12,000 will charge for AR. And they'll say you can use, let's say this can be used by 50, this can be used by 100, this can be used by 100 users. So they'll give that a number on a higher side. They'll not go with individual count. They'll say, okay, up to 50 you can use, up to 100 you can use, up to 100 you can use for AR and FA and all. Correct. So bundle kind of services they offer. So this keeps on changing time to time. New things or new types of subscriptions comes into picture. So always this discussion happens between the vendor company Oracle and the end user business company. Right. As a consulting part, we don't have any role in there. Our role is to configure the application as per the business requirement, design the solution, hand over the product to the business, and then these kind of things. It keeps on going between the business as well and right.
Yeah. Yes, I have another question for the
Mhm.
if I am working in the finance, but some other manufacturing sector, some other sectors will be like health services. These companies using it end user for working like two kind of it roles and responsibility, finance and supply chain management, finance
Mhm.
relevant to HCM. How can you
Mhm.
take in the module subscription based? Like both responsibility came to the one module or separately we can take the subscription?
No, no. Subscription will always be module wise. Whatever subscription you require or whatever modules are applicable to your business, so you'll be taking those subscriptions. So let's say procurement is applicable, then procurement related modules will be subscribed. Financials is applicable, financial modules will be subscribed, and then all the user-based subscription will also be done. Like how many users are going to use the modules, right? So let's say there is a user A who is using finance module GL and also using procurement, right? So when the access will be given through role, then two subscription will be consumed here, one for procurement module and one for GL module. Hey, sorry, not audible if you're speaking.
Sorry, can I continue?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, OTBA, ADFDA, Redwood AA, these and all completely in this session, like in this training course.
So in this training course, we'll be taking ADFDI, we'll be taking FPDI, and we'll be taking OTBA.
And Redwood A, it is not for the part of in this course, right?
No, Redwood is not there, right? So Redwood anyway is not a separate reporting tool account, right? So it's just just the shift in the platform that Oracle did, right? So even the reporting tools, everything remains the same.
Yeah, why I am asking recently, Redwood A developing Oracle for the artificial intelligent linking automation for the doing it process for way quickly. That's why in this model, in this course also it is part of or not, I just asking.
Right. So we'll not be specifically looking into the technology, like what is the technological aspect that is working in the background, but more we'll be looking into the corresponding functionalities, right? If some AI-related features are introduced in the financials, so our focus will be to understand those features instead of understanding what is the background technological changes that are.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
All right, team. I think that's it for today. So let's connect back tomorrow. Let's continue with the topics here. And please, team, make sure if you're not completed the enrollments, then the access of the recordings and the other relevant documents will not be available. And moreover, in a day or two, admin team is going to change the meeting links. So make sure that you have the updated meeting links and the other relevant access for you as we go ahead. So thank you, team. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.